Okay, buddy mine said to do another video. Pretty sure several people are tired of seeing the same old stuff. I've kind of got the controller down to where I think I'm about ready to finalize it. I've got another. Here, I'll boot this thing up. I've got a few more switches on the way, and in reality I don't need them because of the touchscreen, but I figured I'd come this far, so like Forrest Gump, I just kept running. But no, really, it's just kind of a goal of mine to, as you've seen in the other videos, it's kind of a goal of mine to have, you know, a dedicated controller. I've successfully got the cycle start, feed hold, but I've noticed the feed hold isn't instant like I'm used to. It actually will run 2 to 3 lines before it actually feed holds, which can be bad. I've got another button I think on the way. I think I'm going to put it probably, I don't know, it's looking kind of cluttered right here, which I don't like. I may put it up here, I don't know, but I've got, the unfortunate thing is this thing is kind of in here, and I thought it was done, and I'm adding to it, so a lot of the labels that I thought was going to be fairly professional, you know, I did on the other CNC, all these labels. I'll probably do an external label and cut it out. It'll be painted green, the same green, and then I'll just basically bolt it on or whatever. It's just stuff that I've added along the way that I think will keep me happy in a sense, because I mean, obviously I'm the only guy that's going to run it, so you know, a lot of this stuff doesn't really matter. I mean, it's just cosmetic, so the overall function is really kind of the focus, you know. But tonight I was kind of looking around and loosened the column up, and my pulleys are big enough to where I think I'm going to pull this AC bracket off. I was going to do a different bracket for it's a treadmill motor. That's the speed controller right there. Of course, as you know, all this stuff will be hidden. I think I'm going to go ahead and fab up this bracket here so I can keep it kind of, I guess, in the OEM location behind. You know, the OD of the motor is smaller on the treadmill, so really I'll be gaining. I think this bracket or this plastic cover thing is going to come off, but I think that's what's going to be the next focus, is the spindle motor, because there's a lot of things that bothers me on that. You get a lot of, you know, all these spindles up here, all these pulleys and whatnot, you get a lot of harmonics up there, and I just don't like that. Which, you know, that, you know, looking at that's really cool, because all the chips are right here, as opposed to, look at that, on the floor. So I guess the basic reason for the video is I just kind of want to get up to speed on, I gotta change this color of green. It looked like it was matching the controller fairly well, depending on, I guess, depending on how the light is. Naked eye, it looks pretty darn good. So I did have it booted up in the start menu, so it looked kind of like it was dedicated, you know, to the machine. So that seemed to be causing me some problems. It didn't want to recognize the iPack. But the next button to follow, there again, all I got to do is reset. I know this sounds really dumb, but I've got another square button on the way, a couple of them, and then I'll put it in the CNC, and then I'll write the lettering on it that I need, and it'll say reset. So it'll be a hard reset. Also, I did this last night and I'm really digging this. I'm gonna do a label on. Keyboard's causing me some problems apparently. I did this last night. It's kind of neat. I finally got the mock screen program on the computer that actually will edit a lot of your screen sets for Mach 3 to be specific. So that being said, I can go in and basically, you know, I can click on anything and it'll give me basically the rendering of whatever it is that's making up that button. I mean, the size of it, the hotkey, and just the path in general. For me, it was kind of nice because I'm using the iPack. Of course, this is nowhere near as nice as, like, you know, Haas Machine is kind of one of my guys that I like to watch. But what I like, I've noticed after running it a while, there again, I don't have the ball screws in, which is, that has to happen. I mean, like, probably after the treadmill, be my guess. I have no real major jobs as far as milling is concerned. I have some carbs sitting over there, but I've got all the milling done. So basically what I do is I come in here and I use the joystick to move the spindle around and just kind of manually mill it. But I'm eventually going to index the main body in there and have a program to where it'll just, I can, you know, the goal is to just index it in there, home it, whatever, and have the tooling in there and offset it, and then push a button, and then it'll mill the choke horn off. There's other things that I want to do with it, but that's kind of the important thing right now. So to get back to like what I was going to do the video for, was what's really cool is I think it's neat because you can, I'll turn my drive on, okay, of course you know that what I'm going to do is I'm going to have it'll just be a reset button here as opposed to here. It's just assuming that this is a normal screen. I'm just having fun marrying all these different buttons for a specific you know, a specific function, I guess. So I can, you know, like I said, I can come up here, hit reset, but I don't want to come up here on the panel or on the touchscreen all the time. I just, you know, I'm used to the control panel. So what's really cool is I've got it set up to where, well, obviously the, you know, joystick, which I've covered several times, of course the spindle, but I think I'm going to put a stop in here, a stop button. It'll be square and it'll say stop on it. And what I'm thinking there, what I like about that is I've established, you know, your safe Z. So when you hit stop in the middle of the program, it'll stop, but then it'll also safe Z. It'll Z up in the positive direction in the amount of travel that you tell it or establish. So that being said, I think that's really cool. So my goal is to be able to stand back here and then be able to look up here, and I got a program, it's zeroed out, and then I wanted to cycle start and then feed hold right here, and then of course e-stop. So if I had to do it over again, I'd probably move this over and put a stop button here, even if it's round or whatever. You know, there again, it doesn't really matter. It's just whatever the user is comfortable with. So, you know, now that I'm trying to add stuff onto the set up after I've got everything established, that's kind of making it difficult. So I don't know where that's going to end up. I want to easily reach, and of course, yeah, it's easy to come up on the screen, but for me, you know, a married button is just, that was the goal in this whole project. So of course, you know, you have all your, I've got it all set up to where I think I've covered us all in the other videos, but I'm going to eventually have a spindle light around the spindle, which is an LED. I'll probably relocate that light, but all these are illuminated. The LED is a working voltage of 3 volts, where, you know, there's the overall voltage that you're using the switched function is really not a big deal, as long as you pay attention to the amperage, of course. I finally gotten, what's nice is I've gotten, you know, like this here is a low G code button. I can hit that, and then I can come over here and load G code. And then also my feed rate, I wanted to do a jog rate up and down as well, but I'm not sure that I want to. I don't know, when I bring the MPG up on here, it's the jog rate is in here, and I'd like to incorporate that on a function over here, but I don't know if we'll get to that or not. I like the screen set quite a bit, so I'm just kind of setting everything up based on this screen set. Did this one last night. I'm going to do a label. It's, say for example, I have, let's Z down, and theoretically we all know that, you know, I'm not in a position to run, but just for the video's sake, is if I push this button here, I zero all axis. That to me was really cool. Basically what it amounted to was I took the iPack and I've married all the hotkeys, you know, to this one button. You know, obviously you have a ground, and all 3 come into one thing. So all 3 of those inputs, I'm able to basically zero all of those axes at once. For me it was kind of stupid. I know it sounds dumb, but yeah, I could come up here and zero all these, but it's so nice to be able to come down here and hit one button and they all zero out. Also, if I go, say I jog it around, okay, so I jog it around, and then I can go, I go back to, you know, that's, for me, that was the work 0. So go to program 0. If I hit that momentary switch, I got it married to, if I hit that, it'll go back to the program 0. And there you go. So, and then also if I'm coming down into here, if I'm running a program, say I'm down into here, whatever, you know, and rather than hit the rewind button or the run from here, I'm going to go ahead and use probably the touch screen. But to just, if I'm starting over, rehoming, I hit one button, go to program 0, and then if I come up here and I hit program 0, and then what I can do to, it's like the rewind, is I just hit program reset, and then it automatically goes back to, it just rewinds the program. And that's all in the sense that, you know, I've been able to take the iPack coding. I haven't been successful at reprogramming the iPack in itself, as far as like the iPack has default you know, default hotkeys. So I thought at one time I was going to make my own hotkeys for the iPack as well, but I found that wasn't very successful. It kept wanting, even though I keep reinstalling it, it didn't want to reprogram the chip. So I'm just using all the default inputs on the iPack and then changing all the hotkeys on the mock screen that I'm using, screen set. But you know, there again, say the hard drive crashes or whatever, then I'd be kind of SOL. You know, I'd have to use the screen set and then save the file as far as, you know, the updated file, what I've already changed, and then it wouldn't be no big deal if I throw another hard drive in and got it set up. Then I could theoretically get back to where I need to be. But yeah, I mean, so that's kind of where I'm at with it. The next thing is going to be the spindle motor, I think. So you know, that's the RPM, and then I can theoretically dial the RPM in right here, and then it'll be read here. I didn't want to do any kind of program control spindle. Didn't really care for that, just in the sense that if I'm happen to get that far, if I'm going to do some tool changes, I want to be able to manually shut my spindle down even if I come back to a tool change position. So another thing I think I'm going to add, I'm not sure where yet, but I did run across it's a little display, has several things. There's a couple different ones I want to choose from, but I've noticed that basically what it is it's the that essentially turns the tack on the RPM, so that's really not no big deal. It's just a 12-volt switch. But what I want to do is establish basically a readout for my spindle. I want a voltage and an amperage. In case if I'm under load, I can actually monitor the amount of amperage on it's kind of like a spindle load, I guess, if you were to say, like on your industrial machines. I'm used to an Akuma. The Akuma will have a readout as far as the spindle load, and it'll be, all it is a bar graph. So I thought that would be kind of neat to have some sort of a physical, or you know, a visual picture as far as the spindle load is concerned. But one thing that I have to check into is I know the output for the motor is 90 volt DC, but I got to figure out what's going on as far as, because that tag, the working voltage, the input is only 30 volts, but supposedly it's supposed to display up to 100 volts. So I'm not sure how they set that up. There's a couple different wiring diagrams, but I have to kind of look at that and see if it'll actually feasibly work for what I'm looking for. But there was one that I ran into that was really nice. It had you know, it was roughly this size here, maybe a little bit bigger, and it had your DC voltage, your amperage, the temperature, and then also had an hour meter on it, which I thought was really cool. So I'm gonna have to look into that a little bit more, but I really do want to add that somewhere on here and incorporate that if I can actually figure that out. So like I said, the buttons to go, and this here isn't labeled. This is going to be, I'm going to get a oiler, because when I pull the table apart, I'm going to do excuse me, I'm going to do ball screws, of course, which has been, you know, obviously seems like I've been putting that off, but I'm going to do the ball screws. I'm going to do the direct drive, get rid of the 2-to-1, and then I'm going to plumb all the nylon lines and the fittings on all the, you have those, they're like a pressure, like a spring ball in there. If you put a pressure type oiler in there, that'll oil the ways. But what I want to do is have I was going to do a manual, like a, you know, have it down here off of a Bridgeport or whatever, and have all that plumbed. I want to do the ball screws and the ways all in one motion. But as it were, I think I might run into an electric oiler, So that being said, I'm going to just make a little label, and this will just say oiler. And then it's a momentary, and then I'll hit it, and then I can oil the ways and the ball screws all in one motion. So that's the kind of the goal there. So oiler, a manual reset for that when you power on the drive, 0 all axis label, and then of course the stop button. The stop button's only getting added because I like the safe Z function. So that's kind of where I'm at now. Thanks.